Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you could be here with us today. Alongside, I've got Jan with me. Hey, Jan.
Hey, Steve. Hey, everybody.
So, from what I understand, you just recently made some homemade brownies.
Oh, yeah. And Steve, I have to tell you this. I made so many things with 2 pounds of flour on purpose that I purchased for only $1.39. And in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, on purpose, I wanted to see just how many things I could get out of the 2 pound sack of flour. Steve, I sent you a video. Would you be so kind as to show the viewers exactly what I made this morning, practically like within the last hour?
Sure. Okay, everybody. So, take a look at this. And this also tells you how to go about making it yourself.
Okay, so there are easy brownies to be made. I know I've mentioned brownies and recipes in the past, but this current one, which you're looking at right now, I literally made like moments ago. You see, I have it on foil. I removed it that way. I have to get me some parchment paper. I admit that definitely and for sure. But this is the way it works. The ingredients are so simple, it is a joke. I'm going to take you over to my little bit of scribbling handwriting. Actually, let me move the camera back to the actual brownie. I didn't cut them out yet. But anyway, I'll read this to you. Easiest brownie recipe: 2 eggs, got to put them at room temperature. It's really important. 6 tablespoons of non-flavored oil like canola or vegetable. These ingredients are so cheap. Half a cup of unsweetened cocoa, 1 cup of granulated white sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, half a teaspoon of salt, and get a load of this. Only a half a teaspoon, excuse me, scratch that, a half a cup of white flour, okay, all purpose. But I want to talk about the methods that I worked, and when we get back together of Steve and I talking, and basically going to bake this roll at 350 and check it starting from 16, 17 minutes on. I kept checking it and I inserted the back of my spoon with that, like the top pointy part. And for me, 18 minutes was perfect. Don't go past 20 minutes. You don't want them to dry out. And another thing, strong suggestion when you create this, put together the eggs and the fat. In this case, it's the 6 tablespoons of the non-flavored oil. Mix them together. And then you add all of the dry ingredients. Now, I happen to have added some chocolate chips. And anytime you add chocolate chips or nuts or anything, roll them in a little bit or sprinkle a little bit of flour on them so they don't sink to the bottom. But Steve and I would get into it more. Why am I telling you all of this? Because it's everything I already had in my pantry. And we're going to talk more in depth about all of this when I get right back with Steve. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, that's easy enough. I mean, that's, pretty simple, easy, budget friendly ingredients. And, also, I mean, yes, you can go out, you can purchase brownie mixes and things like that. But one thing you did mention earlier on when we were just, talking, if you do or buy a brownie mix, that's really all it's good for. It's just that one thing, you know.
Exactly.
Whereas you having the $1.39 bag of flour, yes, you have your brownies, but let's say in a couple of weeks, just using that as an example, let's say you get the urge to want to make some homemade cookies. You've got the flour. Um,
Exactly. And I did just that. Now I have an upcoming video about all the things that I made with a 2 pound bag of flour. Stephen, just want to jump in a minute and then, please finish whatever you're trying to say.
okay.
I just want to verify this with Steve. Steve, did I not take a picture of my actual brownies? They're on your thumbnail. So what you see there is the actual brownies I made from that, what you see in the foil. That kind of a picture, the video doesn't give it justice till it's all cut out. And you could get something like 9 generous squares or a little bit more than that. You'll see the picture on Steve's thumbnail and you'll know that those are the ones that I made. And it was absolutely amazing. The method was so simple.
Hmm. Yeah, they turn. When you showed me how they looked, I said, "Oh my goodness!" I
And
mean,
they were fudgy and they like fudgy and moist with a little bit of a chew at the same time. That's the way I like it. Now I love it with walnuts. Steve, do you like walnuts in your brownies?
I was about to just, in fact, I was about ready to say that. Um, Whenever I do brown, I mean, I can go either way, but yeah, I do like a little bit of texture in my brownies. Sometimes I do like the
Yes.
walnuts. Now I've also used. People look at me funny when I mention this, but I've done it. Anybody can do it. One time when I was trying to make brownies, I didn't have walnuts. I didn't have pecans. I had nothing but this small little bag of slithered almonds. You know, almonds that are
Oh, I
thinly.
bet that would work. Did you try it?
So I put it in the brownies and I made it. Let me tell you something. If you're ever looking for a good brownie swap out, but you want to give it texture, but you don't have
Right.
walnut or the pecan, get the slithered, thinly sliced almonds like they put on
Nice.
like almond strudel, or you know what I'm talking about. That's very
Yes.
thinly. Try it. I know with me when I did it, um, it gave it a little bit of a slightly different taste, but people think that it wouldn't work.
Oops. Yeah.
That's not true. It worked
Right.
just fine.
That sounds so delicious. What an option. Here's the thing, Steve. Don't get me wrong. Now, Steve and I did a little bit of a research, right? An unofficial research online about the various costs of box brownie mix. Some are from the sublime in price to the absolutely a little bit ridiculous. But you get what you pay for sometimes, but not necessarily always. Like Steve pointed out, and this is a fact that I kind of like really want to point out to everyone. Sure, it's great to get the convenient brownie mix. No big deal. But that's all you're going to get from that package. It's a
Hmm.
one-time use only.
Yeah.
And then you know what, Steve? Next week, I have a method that I'm going to discuss in greater length on one of my audio shows. You know what turns people off? Steve, you know in this recipe, it only needs a half a cup of all-purpose flour. It's all
Hmm.
you need, everyone. A half a cup of all-purpose flour. Think about that for a minute. Most people have that in their home or apartment. It doesn't even need baking soda. It doesn't even need baking powder. You got some salt, more than likely, you have salt. You have a couple of eggs, more than likely, but the trick is do it at room temperature and incorporate it very, very completely, all by hand. You don't need a mixer. You follow the easy steps, the easy directions.
Hmm.
I mean, we could not only just get brownies out of it, Steve. I don't want to brag, but I can't tell you how many things I got out of it. But here's the method that I'm going to go into depth with on a future video next week. It's about organizing. What drives people crazy when they bake? Having to look here, there, and everywhere for their stuff. Tell me, does that turn you up? Well, it turns me off. Okay. So I figured out like the most obvious thing to do instead of being a scatterer of things, I decided to become a gatherer of things. And I
Hmm.
took a simple cardboard box and I put all of my baking pantry things in the box. So the next time, like common stuff that you normally would use whenever you're baking stuff, and it's all centrally located. I don't have to go throughout the kitchen 5 times and then tomorrow put it back and then the next day do it again. No, this is what drives people crazy. Steve, there's not much of a difference, for example, adding oil and eggs to a box cake mix or a brownie mix. The only difference is in price. So not only, I mean, come on, this was to me, it was very effortless putting this recipe together. It was so effortless. Just remember to put your eggs at room temperature. By the way, Steve, if you don't mind me mentioning, people that don't rather use oil, I did the conversion. Okay. So instead of 6 tablespoons for the non flavored oil, if you prefer, just use a half a cup of melted butter. If that's your preferred way to do it, half a cup of melted butter would be a great swap out for the oil. Why do I go the oil route? Well, I think it's cheaper because I don't like to insert butter inside of recipes. I prefer to put butter on top of my toast. I prefer to be able to like bite into it. Where I live, let's just say in the city, put it this way, it costs a lot of money on butter. So yeah, one more thing, Steve, I did a little more research. I was considering to make a buttercream frosting, but not using butter. Yes, you can make a buttercream style frosting using margarine. For those that like, on an extreme or a tight budget, you could do that or just do it plain. They're good enough. These brownies are so inexpensive and they're cost effective. And yes, the bird clock is going off, but we can live with that. Steve, you don't need to use the mixer. You could do it all in one bowl. Uh, all you need is the flour, the oil, the cocoa powder, the sugar, the vanilla extract, and the salt, and the 2 eggs. I mean, that is not asking for much at all. You don't even need milk.
That's good. Well, I am. I mean, I have used canola to to coat. I personally do use the butter. I don't use a lot of it. I want to
Hmm.
make that clear. I don't use a lot. I use a stick of butter if I'm cooking or making brownies in an 8 by 8. What I'll do is I'll get my stick of butter, open it up, and I'll just go like you do with
Yeah,
a pin or however you want to. I'll go around the rim, and then when I take it and do the bottom, I might do one, two, three, four, almost like a zigzag,
right.
and then I'm done. So I don't use a lot of butter. I doubt if I even use a half a cup to coat. So
Amazing.
um, I'm a butter person. Only it might be my heritage. I don't know, but maybe. But I'm not trying to talk ill about margarine. I don't. I've heard stories about that, so I'm just going to leave it right there. Um, but I would, if it was me, I prefer the butter. I don't use a whole lot.
Yeah, I'm just exploring options, and everybody's budget is different. But I'm just saying, like, they don't rather use a stick of butter to make the frosting. But I want to just mention something on the savory side for a minute. Today that we're recording the show happens to be a Friday. Okay, you're going to be listening to this more than likely on a Saturday.
Hmm.
What I like to have on Friday is either or pizza night or Chinese food night. Now, I have stopped ordering in Chinese food a long time ago. That doesn't mean I don't love it. That doesn't mean it doesn't taste great. Yes, it does. But for my budget, I have learned ways that I can master making my own fried rice and things of that nature. Tonight's going to be pizza night. Steve, with the same 2 pound sack of flour, for example, now I get to make pizza tonight. So I mean, the possibilities are there. How much money I am saving. And it's not like I'm doing a ton of effort because I'm not doing a yeast dough pizza. I'm doing a quick rise pizza using baking powder. So if you're like a novice at baking or don't care to do the yeast dough, go with the easy peasy baking powder method. Steve, I'm telling you, the sky is the limit. Everybody needs to run out and buy a couple of pounds of flour and not be afraid. Give it a chance. I have on purpose given very simple recipes on purpose for the last week or so. so that anyone, I got a few thank yous already that people were trying the recipes.
Hmm.
And I just want everybody to get to eat a little bit healthier, because to me it's a lot healthier to eat, let's say, a homemade pizza without all of those additives and colors and whatever. It takes just as long to make it. By the way, Steve, took me just as long to make this brownie today from scratch than the box cake mix. Just as long of an effort, because there was no effort putting these things together at
Yeah.
all
Hmm.
whatsoever.
Um, yeah. In the case of pizza, you're not you're not wrong, and and it also. I mean, this is somebody who's going to the store. That's if you like buying frozen pizza. Frozen pizza's okay. There's only certain ones I'll buy. There are some over others, and it's maybe two or three. But if given a choice, I'll give you a good example. I am a member of Costco Wholesale Club.
Yeah.
And if you go to their concession area where you buy, their food court, whatever you want to call it, you can get a pretty good sized pizza. I believe it's got 12 slices in it, and
Yeah.
it's like $10.70, which
Oh,
is not
that I heard is
bad.
amazing. Yeah.
It's pretty good. It doesn't have all the fillers and additives. I mean, um, but I mean, if budget wasn't really an issue, I myself prefer a pizzeria style pizza, maybe New
Yes.
York style or Chicago or something like that. Um, in fact, across the street, it's been there since the 80s. I know as a fact it's been there since the 80s because about four or five places down from there used to be a store called Service Merchandise. Now I'm really starting to show my age. And when I did work there for a short time, my mom and dad used to work there, but I would fill in, you know, and Rena's was there back then. This was like 1990, 91, but it was there even before that. And I tell you what, you do pay a couple of $3, $4 more for the pizza, but I tell you what, it's so worth it because they're proud of what they put out, and it is a quality item. So,
Right.
um, but you are right about coming back to the pizza. You are correct about fillers and colors, and you'll run into that if you buy like a cheaply, poorly priced pizza, like a Totino's party
Right.
pizza, something real bottom of the line, I should say. But you
It's
are right.
also fun, Steve, because you could get the kids in on it, especially with the simple dough, with the non-yeast dough. Because I'm not saying there's anything wrong with yeast, but the yeasty doughs require a lot of time. And a lot of people at the end of the day on a Friday are not necessarily interested in, I mean, some people do it to relax and they want to spend 3 hours, waiting for things to rise and punch it down. No, thank you. No, thank you. I could achieve very great results. I don't need that yeasty taste in my pizza. It comes out really good. Anybody that's tried that style of a dough really, really understands. And like you say many times, it is a blank canvas. For example, you can make the personal sizes. The kids could put whatever they want on it. Who might want just a veggie pizza? Like mushrooms or whatever vegetables they want. Who may want chicken on their pizza? Who may want just a classic cheese and pepperoni pizza? The sky's the limit, Steve. The price of pizzeria pizza delivery today is off the chain.
Right.
If you have that kind of dough, pun intended, if you have that kind of money and everything's good, great. But if you're like struggling to like meet your bills, I mean, it's crazy. But that doesn't mean it has to stop you from eating pizza. Make your own at home. It's so much easier and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Well, I have to tell you though, I'm glad that you were able to, come on and we discussed
Thanks
your
so much for
brownies.
having me.
Absolutely. We talked, we went out, it was a little bit of a mixed bag. I mean, it was good to talk about the pizza, but now you have it. Now you know that, right, if you got a bag of flour, you're not limiting yourself to one thing, like if you buy a brownie mix or whatnot. Um, you know, you're opening up a few doors for yourself. So,
Absolutely.
well, anyway, I'm glad all of you guys could tune in to watch us. Always be on the lookout for us, and you know, Jan and I will see you back here next time. So make sure that you're subscribed and you have your notification bell activated so you'll know when a video comes up. And I'll also tend to go over to my community tab and let people know, hey, on such and such day, time, and what time of day, Eastern, which is my time zone. I'll let you know when we're coming on or I'm coming on or whatnot. So anyway, I hope all everybody has a great whatever time of day it is. And Jan and I will see you back here next time. Bye for now.
Bye bye.